Welcome, everybody, to this brand new episode of the Fargonauts talking about the Penguin. Penguin.
The Pingus.
Pingus. We are.
Penguingo. Penguino.
Do you guys notice the G has a little penguin beak on it?
No.
Never did.
Um,
That's funny.
this is the penultimate episode. We all just watched it. Bradshaw probably watched it more recently than either.
No, we all just watched it.
Okay, we could
This
say that.
discussion was preceded by us all three watching it concurrently.
I wanted to get this off the bat, like this question to everybody right off the bat. With shows, they've had the tendency to kind of dip in quality.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think any of the episodes so far of this show has dipped in quality, or like kind of gained more traction as it went on?
Well,
I think it's. Yep.
Go ahead, Wilson.
sorry, I just think really quick, I think it's the nature of the beast. Like even any trilogy of movies, like if you've got more than one of something, if you compare them to each other, one's not gonna like they're gonna if you rank them like that, one's obviously not gonna go as far as some of the others. I think that not this penultimate one, but episode 5 was, in my opinion, maybe the weakest episode, but that by no means was saying that it was a bad episode. It just didn't hit some of the same heights as some of these other ones.
Okay. How about you, Bradshaw?
I think overall it's been very consistent.
Okay.
I don't think any of it's like Wilson said, they've all been good to some degree. I think it's just been a consistently solid show. It actually feels like it's one like entity, you know what I mean? Like
Sure.
doesn't feels like one big story. And I like that treatment of it. I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, I can nitpick, scenes and things and elements throughout that, might be slow paced or whatever, but overall, a testament to this show is that I forget sometimes that I'm in the Batman universe and I'm there for the
yeah, you have to
story.
be reminded, kind of.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right? Like for you guys too, like you're like, wait, this is
There are
the
definitely
penguin.
times, yeah. There's also times where I'm watching this where I'm like, my God, they are very much capturing to me what the character of Oswald Cobblepot and like his scheming and his. There's just so many times where I'm like, dang, this is the Penguin. This is what I would imagine the Penguin would do. And with this penultimate episode being titled Top Hat, I've kind of had a little nugget of a pipe dream of mine. It was like, I hope that like if we get like some moment of the show, like maybe he goes to the opera for a minute, or like we get a slight flash forward or something like that where he's a little bit more established, or we just see him like dressing to the nines for one scene and he actually has a top hat and maybe a monocle and then it has a cane, and it's like, okay, I would love to see Colin Farrell's Penguin in that kind of get up.
Yeah,
But yeah. It's like you said, like reminding yourself that it's Batman sometimes.
Right. And what helps that is the introduction of multiple antagonists. Like we know of the Maronis and Falcone, right? But then the Gigantes now that get thrown in there, and the Hangman, and Kristen, her whole dynamic kind of stole the show in some parts, and a lot of people I think believe that. Do you guys feel that at all?
Absolutely.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think she's super strong lead opposite of Colin Farrell and the kid who's playing Vic.
And I said from the get-go that I thought she was, I think from the get-go she was really good.
Mhm.
That what was it episode 5? That was the like seeing her at Arkham stuff.
I believe that was 4.
Okay. And then her killing her family was episode 5.
I
No, that
think
was
that
probably
that-
that was probably 6. I think that
no,
one.
that wasn't 6
No.
because
6
I'm
was
not sure. That one, but I think 5 sounds about correct though.
6 was the one where
Penguin Boy did his little pyrotechnic show,
yeah.
which
So-
very baller move for like a negotiation, not a like hostage trade, not hostage trade kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um. So.
Clancy Brown too.
Oh
like,
yeah, he was
this
amazing.
Got
this
Dan
cast
Kurgan,
all
dude.
over. I know. If there was anybody that I ever would buy being like Mark Strong, I think is doing a very good like affectation of a Totoro.
Yep.
Either of those people I would see as a mob boss, and I definitely see the Kurgan as this kind of mob boss. And the fun thing about Gotham, when you remind yourself that it's a Batman show, is that even when the Penguin's not on screen and we're just dealing with like Vic or random people or random scenes, it's like you remind yourself of the character of Gotham, about
Right.
how crime-ridden this city is, their history with corruption, and just the general like social outlook of people too.
Right.
Yeah.
Lest we forget to fucking Mark Strong was Sinestro in the Green Lantern movie, and Clancy Brown was also Lex Luthor in the DC animated universe for a long time. So they've got DC cred.
Yeah.
Let's get into talking about this episode. Like Wilson mentioned, that it's called Top Hat, based on
Yep.
this old Fred Astaire movie.
Yeah,
where-
I was thinking it was probably Fred Astaire just on the dancing, but can either of you place what movie it is?
Top
No
Hat.
idea.
Okay.
The film's called Top Hat.
Oh,
You sure it wasn't Fred Astaire? Not Fred Astaire.
I think you can
that's
see
when
it.
you have. That's when you have multiple Fred Astaires.
You
get Fred
see
Astaire.
the movie on the top of his TV on the VHS,
Ah, yes, there it is.
and they're all wearing some fancy
Nice.
top hats.
With canes and.
What's really interesting, and we can get into it throughout this episode, but how we come full circle with when we last saw like Vic and Oz kind of set up shop in the sewers. I thought that was kind of harkening back to, the kind of lore of the Penguin, kind of like doing things beneath Gotham, but like still utilizing
Looks like-
like derelict kind of things to transport his
See-
drugs or do nefarious things in.
Also, wasn't his like lair or whatever in Batman Returns in the sewer?
Yes, yeah, where he rode on the big
or
duck.
at some part of like or connected to the zoo or some shit. Yeah, I don't remember of Returns. But
That's right. It was part of the
definitely
zoo.
sewers.
Yeah. And we tie it all back to the moment where he goes to play flashlight tag with his brothers. That he decided to set up shop where his brothers were stuck. Like kind of the same. It looked to me when the car bomb was going
yeah.
off that he ran into the same sewer hatch as his brothers.
100%.
And yeah, kind of
There-
like pottery,
There may have been a scene earlier on too when he and Vic first go down here where I think Vic like turns a corner and is about to go down that like way towards that door, and he's like, no, kid, not that way, or some shit.
Right. This kind of hatch here.
Yeah, he's like down at that intersection where we see him back there, and he's like, no, come this way instead. Yeah, but it was interesting how they kind of spoke to the idea that like he does not react well to taunting or like bullying or poking or prodding of himself in certain ways where his brothers were like, going down the ladder and making it hard on him. He's like, hey, I can't get down there. And then
Yep.
he took it to the lengths that he did. But we've seen other times too that, whether it's people calling him the Penguin or just talking down at him, he tends to not react well to that.
I like that character trait in him. He just has. There's something about him growing up where if he would be bullied in the slightest, if he sees anything as a slight, or people laugh at him, and all that kind of pressure that probably his mom imprinted on him growing up, that he has to take care of her and like he has to be strong and all this stuff, kind of like
ruthless mindset.
Yeah, it messed with him a little bit that he has to like react now that like, for everything. Like all this started with
like,
his weird reaction to that guy laughing at him.
It's like Munchausen by proxy Napoleon fucking syndrome.
Yeah.
Like she
With a smidge
She
of
puts it upon
Oedipus
him
in
to-
there too, like
Yeah. But it's curious to me how many times the show goes out of its way to like quote unquote humanize Oz when we see him being like, Victor Aguilar, like connecting with him culturally, personally, or reaching out to people in his community and doing nice things for them or whatever. And
right.
yeah, we know that he's a fucking shitty gangster who kills people, but I like that we're getting to see so many different sides of so many different people, because we do see that even with Christina, with
Sophia.
why am I blanking? Yeah, Sophia. Gosh, this scene right here. Hats off to both of these ladies for this scene. This was so.
It was a weird dynamic. Like I don't think she understood. Well, first of all, she obviously didn't know she was alive, Oz's mom, because he's a big liar. But like once she finds out like she is alive, she doesn't know that she has this condition and she needs medication, and she kind of like starts, her hand starts twitching, and that's like a tell that she's kind of fading in between times, or whatever, or she's having a fit, and then she like starts slapping her. She's like, "What? When do you think it is?"
She's having her own True Detective season 4. Like she's having her own season of television that we don't get to experience.
Right.
Or was that season 3? I don't remember, but Mahershala Ali is like over her shoulder. We just can't see. Like, we gotta go.
Yeah, because he had the same kind of thing. He was really forgetful or going through Alzheimer's or something.
That mystery's not gonna solve itself about those.
But how she reacted, like I was hoping she would be somewhat sympathetic to her, because I mean, she is a pawn. Like Sophia's using her as a pawn to get to Oz, but that doesn't mean she's gonna like torture this poor old lady. She's like wanting to know what her deal is, and she finds out like, oh my gosh, she's like, even in this scene, she's looking at her like, oh, there's something like wrong with her. Like I'm kind of sad, and I felt that. Like she does have feelings behind her, and she's not all just ruthless killer.
How many times do you think Sophia saw people maybe having a similar like episodes or reactions in Arkham based on what they were going through? So
well, that's exactly what she went through. I would say she was very like much gaslit into believing that she was psychotic and that she did these crimes of like her dad basically strangling women and her mom.
Yeah, but I mean, like, so deep down when she's sitting in Arkham, she just looks around and sees people that are genuinely being afflicted by things, and is basically having that same experience of just like seeing like, oh, Sophia seems to recognize when other people around her are like significantly broken or damaged in one way or another, and she doesn't really like give them a soft spot, but she does give them a certain amount of extra consideration, it seems like.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What even with fucking Kurgan, she like recognizes that this man is just a like simmering ball of fucking vengeance. Even when he's making his pasta and shit, she's like, "This man wants to explode, and I need to use that."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I feel that too.
Great scene too. Don't remember
Yeah, when they're
if
just
that
kind of
was
like
like last episode or not.
cooking and, just talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think she was trying to, I think they talked about it in the after episode discussion that she was looking for somewhat of a father figure, and he's looking for some kind of person to fill that void of companionship just for a moment, right? Because he just went through something horrible.
Having lost a child.
Yeah, so she's kind of a replacement for a certain amount of time.
They can be something to each other at least, even if neither of them can say what that is.
Right. So there's been a lot of cool set pieces throughout this show.
Mm-hmm.
Like the anxiety-driven kind of episodic beats where, all right, Oz has to get this shipment of drugs from point A to point B. What's going to happen? How's that going to get screwed up? Or the part where they're at the mansion and Vic has to plant something in a car, how that's going to happen. What do you guys feel was the moment where it was like, oh, this is a big one. Like, this could be the tipping point to, like, Oz's success.
You mean in the whole show? Or
Yeah,
this
does any of them stand out? Just in the show, I guess. Well, like, what one stands out? Where his scheming is like, getting him so.
Well, I think it was getting in with Sophia, getting back in with her.
So
'Cause then
when he was doing
that orchestrates
the triad discussion, where he's like, let's go talk about the triads.
Yeah, when he gets her on his side and whatever, because then that leads to her taking out her entire family. So that's clearing a bunch of people out of his way. And then obviously shit goes wrong, but I think that was a very vital step in him, ascending.
Yep. And a lot of things have gone wrong for him, like the Vic thing where he had to kind of just like stab this guy. And
yeah,
there's another one where
does some...
they're delivering the drugs, right? And then he's like, this guy didn't die right away, so I have to like protect this guy now to like cover my ass. So like, and then they had to like, after the drug bust or whatever, the crew was saying like, did you see Oz? Man, he was going crazy. Like, Oz saved me. If it wasn't for Oz, I'd be dead or whatever. Just in earshot of Sophia, so she like kind of, if she had doubts on him, maybe that put them aside for the time being.
Right.
He's really good at being conniving and manipulating just to get like a persona across so people don't suspect him as being like a two-timer,
Right.
But that was probably one of mine, the big set piece where they were doing the drug run and he had an idea like, oh, I'll ride in this car. And the guy's like, nope, you're riding up there with the drugs. And he's like, I think I should go here. And like, no. And then at that moment, you're like, oh shit, now this is going to go wrong. And just, you're waiting for it to like escalate to that. And then it did. And then it was a detriment because that was the episode where I think we time jump a little bit after that because he maybe only had one of those mushrooms that survived the bust.
The 2 buckets.
Yeah, like 2 buckets. Then they had to like make,
Yeah, I think it was like a couple months, maybe even just a month. I'm not sure, but yeah, a small amount of time.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I do think the killing of the mansion, that was a big moment, I think, for the character, for her character specifically. That was really a highlight for like everybody was like, oh, this is dark, this is pretty twisted that this girl would do that. But I would say she's justified with what they did to her in a sense.
Right.
Because they kind of all didn't say anything. They didn't speak up because they were probably scared of her dad, but
Yeah, so it's like, how many people are we gonna hold directly accountable for this shit? Like, I get the idea of holding people accountable and seeing them pay for it, but like her cousin, Gia's like mother, and like I don't really
this scene
see
here
that being.
where she's like this poor little niece is having like the side effects of what she did, and she's basically creating another spawn of like Gotham's hatred. You know, the hate that seethes within Gotham itself is like bubbling up inside this girl now. Like, I'm gonna become vengeance again. I'm gonna avenge my parents. And that was something that hasn't clicked for me. Maybe it has clicked with you guys before, but like we've all talked about how Gotham is a character in itself. Can we all agree on that?
Right.
Sort of?
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
So when we go deeper with that concept of Gotham being a character and the pervasive evil that is basically that character, there's something that kind of connects it to like a eldritch cosmic being, where it's like this overwhelming, looming sense of dread and fear just in this little isolated zone where it manipulates people into corruption or evil. And even Bruce Wayne dips into that fear
Really?
of Gotham and manipulates, you know, people through fear.
Uses it as a weapon.
He's
Yep.
using the fears,
I'm not
Yep.
in the shadows. I am the shadow. Yeah.
but it affects everybody that same way to a heightened sense of their persona. So like if she's considered the hangman, now she's kind of taking that upon herself, like, yeah, I'm gonna do what they think I'm capable of doing. I'm gonna kind of embrace that. And same with Oz, like he's manipulating to like the highest extent that he could manipulate, and he's very dark. We see that when he's a kid, like do that to his own flesh and blood, and not even bat an eye, just like it's normal, whatever, you know.
Go back home and watch movies with mom.
Yep, it's
Right.
unfazed. And there's just something that I love about the concept of Gotham being able to do that to its citizens. And it's inevitable. It's it's the Sisyphus for Batman, basically. It's always going to be there.
Right.
It's just a
never-ending war.
never-ending
You're one of
war
these-
and struggle.
You're one of these people that either gets out of Gotham or you stay there and, you know, become like somebody who falls on one side of or another of like being a statistic. You know, are you a cop? Are you a criminal? Are you just a victim? Are you?
Yeah, or do you like embrace the evil that's within Gotham and kind of like let it change you, and you have to adapt to it? Because like every character is that kind of flip side of a persona, like, and that's the perfect you know, kind of analogy for Two-Face, right? He was this great guy, Gotham changed him, and he has like, he's in between those, like that struggle of Jekyll and Hyde, like I'm a good guy, but if you get on my nerves, I can, the flip of a coin, I can just run rampant. How about that? Like this kid getting introduced in the last couple episodes, and he's like stealing the show. Like this kid is amazing.
Yeah, right.
He's
Young
just
Sheldon's fucking mirror version without, you know,
Young Oswald.
young Oswald. He's just like, I love that they're doing like he's doing the same accent, and it's just like
oh, I love it. I love his accent.
it's yeah,
So-
it's perfect.
So cute. It's
Moida.
Moida, the Boyds, you know, like
It really
Ma.
should be too much, but it's not. It is not.
No, it fits him so perfectly. This
Yeah.
kid, Ma, I'm gonna help shoes, you know.
Eat your eggs, ma. Yeah.
do any of you have the maybe hint or thought that possibly Oz could lose this and this just could be the end of Oz? Or do you think they're gonna just go from there?
Could,
Is
but
there
I
is
don't
there
think so.
something that would I don't know, like it's just in the back of my head. I know it's probably not going to go that way, but like there's just something there that he could possibly lose with something. Maybe not his life, but something.
Right.
So, and like to me, a likely version of that would be like, okay, he, gets the victory somehow in business, like makes a bunch of money, like gets sells a bunch of drugs, makes a bunch of money, does something, gets Sophia out of the picture, but then in the process, he goes to Blackgate and ends the season. He's in Blackgate, but in Blackgate, he's clearly going to amass even more power, just like turning the entire populace of the fucking prison into his like workforce, or some shit like that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I like that. Him ending up in Blackgate would be a bittersweet kind of like, okay, fine, he's just put away now, and he can just sit on ice for a while.
Well, we
wait
know
for
that
the
he
movie.
would get out. Like it's like, it's some way or another some law would get passed, or he would get good behavior or some shit. Corruption. Like there's always a way.
Did
So
it ever?
he'd been there for a little bit just to chill out, but then we know that he'd return sometime.
Do you ever get the sense that maybe a bunch of penguins are going to have a funeral procession for him and throw him in the river?
Carry him on their shoulders like a Roman soldier.
Like they drag poor Danny into the water.
Daddy boy. Time for a swim, Doc.
What do we feel about Sophia? Like, do you think she's going to survive at all, or do you think it would be kind of appropriate for her to just get away, either die or?
I think I think that I feel like maybe she's got a death coming to her, but I don't know why. Yeah. It's not like she deserves it, or like it's not even that she necessarily doesn't. But I just like there's nobody that's out there being like, I'm going to kill Sophia right now. So.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But I can see that being a poetic end for her character. Like, gosh, maybe it sucks to say, but that's her way of like finally finding some kind of peace. It's just all right. You don't have to worry about anything anymore. Just rest.
What about Sophia's?
Vic?
Yeah, that's what I was going to go to. Also, I was going to go down the line. Like the percentages. Like, what are the percentages for each character? Like,
live, die.
Yeah.
I mean, Vic is not a comics character, so I mean, he could easily die, but maybe I don't know, maybe somehow works out for him and he can get the fuck out of there. But
yeah, you know what I feel like would happen if this was a much lesser show.
Yeah,
and this is the kind of thing that I feel has been done before in said shows. Without naming names, we find out in the last episode, like some fucking Victor goes to live with a family member somewhere else in Gotham or something else, and we find out that his family member's last name is Stone, and he's gonna be Victor Stone.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, oh no, what? Why?
Right.
Why is this happening? Just because we can, motherfuckers.
How do you feel about Oz's mom potentially biting it?
Well, I mean, I don't. Sadly, I don't think. Yeah.
She's not long for this world, dude.
Yeah. Either way, I don't think she's got much left in her. Poor girl.
And then I have a feeling that possibly Sophia's therapist boyfriend play toy is probably gonna be gone too.
Quite possibly. He seems to be a glutton for punishment, so who's to say that he's not gonna put himself in harm's way for Sophia, or like just be in the midst of some shit, and then
Yeah,
like I can see, yeah, maybe somehow, because we see in that trailer that like they're in some sort of ballroom or dining room or something like that,
yeah,
and Sophia's firing a gun, and maybe in the midst of all the chaos, a fire gets started, and Oz's mom, Sophia's boyfriend, Sophia, maybe somebody else gets trapped in the fire and dies, or any other number of things. It's like, you know, who's to say with this show? But we did end in a way that like definitely shakes things up again. So it does uh, present like what, who knows where we're going to start and kind of where we're going to go from that. So that's nice.
right. And I haven't put any stake or really care too much about the awards and talking about award season and like Emmys
Right.
and Golden Globes or whatever. A lot of talk has been put towards Sophia, Kristen, her portrayal, and like
Oh,
how
yeah.
she could definitely win an acting award for the show. Do you guys
Right.
feel that if awards kind of get pushed on this show, that they're gonna do more of this type of show, maybe more of this
Well,
penguin or
the
like other characters?
Matt Reeves, I think, has already said that due to the success of the show, he's been having conversations with Max about more shows. So,
I mean, I feel like it was today or yesterday that I was seeing headlines that said like Barry Kogan's fucking Joker is now a Max series.
it's not. James Gunn said no.
Yeah, which like I never fully believed, but even just
Right.
um,
But yeah, it's gotten enough positive attention and a lot of reactions from people. So yeah, we'll definitely be seeing more.
I'm looking forward to the finale and to the discussion afterwards, because I don't know if you guys have listened to any like podcasts, like, because for every show now it seems like the showrunners or some third party comes out with a podcast about the episodes and maybe has guest stars. And I got really into the one that Chernobyl did and the one that The Last of Us did, when they, you know, they would have like the after episode kind of discussion and the what's happening next, but then they would also produce these extra bonus podcast things that you could watch after, you know, the day after you watch the show, because they would be airing on Sunday, just to get your fix and like listen to what the characters or the showrunners, you know, think about each episode and things like that. So I'm probably gonna go back and listen to those, because I know they obviously came out with one for the Penguin. I don't know if you guys have listened to any of those.
nope.
Uh-oh.
I'm not some kind of nerd. I say as I'm literally handling Magic the Gathering cards.
Perfect. But yeah, other than that, the show was great. A great glimpse at maybe what's to come for this universe. Because the Matt Reeves stuff, I'm kind of jazzed about. I really liked what he's been producing for this. It's something
Right.
gritty and it seems realistic, as opposed to like the more hyper realistic stuff that was the Chris Nolan things, where it's like it looked
Right.
like it could happen in a major metropolitan area, where this is like, it's sort of a fantasy, sort of like going back into the comic book realm of like the Gotham gritty, you know, rainy
Right.
grossness that could exist with your storytelling. So yeah, I'm really jazzed about it. Do you guys have anything else to say about the show or what you look forward to?
Just I'm enjoying it, and I look forward to the finale.
How about you, Wilson?
Penguin.
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 No, I mean like this is a lot of fun, and like you said, I am so many times impressed that this is not doing as much. It just is so impressive that you have to remind yourself that this is a Batman show, and wonderful cast, wonderful everything. I like it.
Perfect. And we'll be back with something.
These nuts.
Yeah, exactly. We'll be back with these nuts. Whenever you see us next, they'll be hanging out there. They'll be.
I most certainly will not be bringing that to the table, and
It's okay. Bracho's got enough for everybody, I think, right?
Yeah,
got enough of these nuts for everybody.
got enough nuts to go around, bro.
So stay tuned. Fargonaut boys.
Lightly salted, deluxe mixed nuts.
We're pleasing out and sneezing out.
Achoo.